Welcome to the channel dedicated to the legendary Kennedy half dollar. This is where every 50-cent coin tells a powerful story of history, rarity, and hidden value. On this channel, we explore rare and expensive Kennedy half dollars from different years, mint marks, and conditions, from circulated pocket finds to auction record collectibles. You'll learn how to identify valuable coins, understand mint marks, grades, errors, and discover what real Kennedy half dollars are selling for in today's market. First coin. The 1973 Kennedy half dollar in circulated dusty condition that is now commanding around $600 in the today's auction market. You might think a Kennedy half dollar is just a piece of pocket change that was used for everyday purchases decades ago, but this particular coin has become something much more valuable, much more interesting, and much more sought after by collectors around the world. What makes this coin stand out isn't just the year or design. It's a combination of condition, rarity, collector demand, and the story behind how these coins have survived over time. Back in 1973, the United States Mint struck millions of Kennedy half dollars. These coins were first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy, and they quickly became a part of everyday American currency. Most of them were used just like any other coin, in cash transactions, passed from hand to hand, sometimes forgotten in ashtrays or coin jars. Over the years, many of these 1973 Kennedy half dollars were worn down, lost, or heavily circulated. But a small number of them survived with intriguing surfaces and appeal, even in what collectors describe as dusty, circulated condition. Dusty condition might sound like a negative description, but in the world of numismatics it often tells a story of authenticity and untouched history. A coin in dusty condition hasn't been cleaned or polished. It shows honest wear and genuine age. The dust, toning, and signs of circulation are part of its character. Collectors appreciate that because it means the coin lived a real life, it wasn't artificially altered, and it carries a trace of its journey through decades of everyday use. While some collectors prefer pristine, uncirculated examples, others love coins that show history and tell a part of the human story through their surfaces. Now let's talk about value. How does a 1973 Kennedy half dollar in dusty circulated condition reach around $600 at auction? The answer lies in the intersection of scarcity and collector interest. While millions of 1973 Kennedy half dollars were minted, relatively few in desirable condition remain available to collectors today. Many coins from that era were heavily worn or damaged, and only a small fraction survived in a condition that still retains visual appeal and detail. Among those survivors, the ones that haven't been cleaned or tampered with, the ones showing genuine character, are particularly attractive to collectors. That attraction drives demand. Auction platforms today make it easier than ever to see what coins are bringing in real money. When a coin like this sells for $600 at auction, that result becomes a benchmark that buyers and sellers watch closely. Future listings reference that price, collectors compare it with similar sales, and gradually the market establishes a solid value range. Once collectors recognize that certain coins consistently bring strong prices, interest grows, and competitive bidding can push values even higher. What was once an affordable collectible can become a seriously desirable piece of history. Another factor driving this coin's value is the global nature of collecting. In the past, a rare coin might have been bought and sold within local circles, limiting prices due to regional demand. Today, with online auctions and worldwide shipping, collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond can all bid on the same coins. That increases competition and opens up a much larger pool of potential buyers. When more people are interested, particularly serious collectors who recognize the rarity and appeal of a piece, prices naturally rise. It's important to know that not all 1973 Kennedy half dollars are worth $600. A coin that is heavily worn, scratched, or damaged might only be worth a small premium over face value. What separates the high-value examples is condition, not perfect, not uncirculated, but a pleasing circulated state that shows life and aging without detracting damage. That combination makes these coins appealing to collectors who want pieces that feel authentic and tell a story, yet still retain strong design detail and eye appeal. For anyone new to coin collecting, it helps to understand how coins are evaluated and valued. Collectors talk about grades like good, very fine, extra fine, and uncirculated. Those grades help describe the amount of wear and detail visible on a coin. A coin in dusty circulated condition will show wear, but the details remain readable and the surfaces still reflect the original design. Many collectors also choose to have coins professionally graded by respected services, because certification gives buyers confidence about what they're purchasing. Coins that have been professionally graded often bring stronger prices at auction, because bidders know exactly what condition they are getting. Collectors also enjoy the journey of discovering coins with stories. A coin that has survived 50 years in circulation and still looks pleasing carries a sense of history. You can imagine the hands that held it, the places it traveled, and the everyday moments it was part of. That connection to the past is part of what makes collecting so rewarding beyond purely monetary value. The coin becomes a tangible piece of history, a little time capsule that connects us to another era. Next coin. The 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with AP mint mark in circulated fine condition that is now commanding around $300 in today's auction market. You may be wondering how a coin that was originally minted for everyday use and was worth just 50 cents could now fetch hundreds of dollars. The answer lies in the story of this coin's rarity, condition, collector demand, and the way the auction market values pieces that have both history and appeal. Back in 1983, the United States Mint at Philadelphia, indicated by the P mint mark, struck millions of Kennedy half-dollars. These coins were part of everyday currency, used in pocket change, cash drawers, vending machines, and countless transactions. The Kennedy half-dollar itself was first introduced in 1964 as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, and it quickly became a beloved piece of American coinage. Over the decades, many Kennedy half-dollars stayed in circulation, and most were worn, spent, and eventually forgotten in drawers and jars. But among those millions, a small number survived in a condition that today collectors find intriguing: circulated fine. Circulated fine condition means the coin has clearly been used and shows signs of wear from everyday life, but it still retains much of its original design detail. The surfaces aren't brand new, and the luster that a fresh coin would have is gone, but the important elements, the portrait of Kennedy, the lettering, and the overall form, remain clear and appealing. This type of condition tells a story of the coin's life. It's not perfect, but it still carries character, and collectors love that because it connects them to the coin's past. So why would a circulated fine 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with AP mint mark be worth around $300? The key is a mix of scarcity and collector appeal. Even though millions of these coins were produced, relatively few remain in collectible grades that still show attractive detail. Many were heavily worn, damaged, lost, or simply melted down over the years. The ones that survived with pleasant surfaces, even with the signs of circulation, are in limited supply. When collectors see a well-worn but appealing example, they recognize its rarity in the market and are willing to bid competitively for it. Auction platforms are where these values are established. When a coin like this sells for around $300, that sale becomes a benchmark that dealers and collectors reference in future listings and bids. Over time, as more coins trade hands and more results are recorded, a clear picture of the coin's market value develops. When people see repeated sales at higher prices, confidence grows in the value of similar coins, and that drives continued interest and competitive bidding. Another big factor influencing the market for this coin is the expanding global interest in coin collecting. In the past, rare or high-value coins might have been mostly bought and sold within local or national circles. Today, online auctions and international platforms allow collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond to participate in the same auctions. That broader pool of potential buyers increases competition, and that's especially true for scarce coins like this 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with the P mint mark in attractive circulated fine condition. It's also worth noting that condition always plays a big role in coin values. Not every 1983 Kennedy half-dollar is worth hundreds of dollars. A heavily worn or damaged coin might only be worth a small premium over face value. The value increases when the coin shows clear details, pleasing surfaces, and signs that it was well cared for even while in circulation. That balance of genuine wear and visual appeal is exactly what collectors are willing to pay for. Collectors also enjoy the story behind the coin. The Kennedy half-dollar is an iconic piece of American numismatics, and holding one connects you to decades of history. You can imagine the hands that passed it from person to person, the places it traveled, and the moments it witnessed. Coins aren't just metal, they're little pieces of history that link us to everyday life in the past. That emotional connection adds depth and meaning to the hobby beyond pure monetary value. For anyone interested in collecting, it helps to understand how coins are graded and valued. Terms like fine, very fine, extra fine, and uncirculated describe the amount of wear and detail on a coin. A coin in circulated fine condition shows noticeable wear, but the details are still clearly visible. Many collectors also choose to have their coins professionally graded or authenticated, especially when they are valuable. A certified grade gives buyers confidence and often helps achieve higher prices at auction. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just discovering the fascinating world of coins, the story of the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar with a P mint mark in circulated fine condition teaches us an important lesson. Value in numismatics isn't always obvious at first glance. Sometimes a coin that looks ordinary can turn out to be extraordinary when you understand its rarity, condition, and collector demand. And the fact that this coin can bring around $300 today shows just how interesting and rewarding the world of coin collecting can be. Next coin. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar in circulated scratched fine condition that is now commanding around $400 in today's auction market. You might be surprised to learn that a coin once used for everyday transactions, something that spent decades passing from hand to hand, can now be worth hundreds of dollars. But when you understand the journey this coin has taken, the condition it survived in, and the way collectors value pieces like this, it all begins to make sense. Back in 1973, the United States Mint struck millions of Kennedy half-dollars. These coins were originally produced for circulation and used by everyday Americans just like any other half-dollar. They traveled in pocket change, were used in vending machines, carried in wallets, and eventually worn down by decades of use. The Kennedy half-dollar was first issued in 1964 in honor of President John F. Kennedy, and it quickly became one of the most iconic coins in American coinage history. Over the years, most of these coins saw heavy use, and few were ever set aside or preserved. The example we're focusing on today is described as being in scratched fine condition. In coin grading terminology, fine means that the coin shows noticeable signs of circulation, details are worn, and the surfaces have seen plenty of handling. A scratched coin has additional surface marks or abrasions from use, but importantly, it hasn't been damaged beyond recognition. The main design features are still visible. On a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar in fine condition, you can still make out the profile of President Kennedy, the lettering, and the basic features of the coin's design, even though those elements show softening from circulation. The scratches tell a bit of its story, the life it lived, the transactions it was part of, and the many hands it passed through over the decades. So how did a circulated, scratched coin like this come to be valued at around $400 in the auction market today? The answer lies in scarcity, collector interest, and the broader coin market dynamics. While millions of Kennedy half-dollars were minted in 1973, relatively few remain in appealing enough condition to attract serious collector interest. Most examples of this date are worn heavily, damaged, or unremarkable. But a subset survived with enough remaining detail and eye appeal that collectors began to take notice. Collectors today are not only interested in flawless mint state coins. There is a strong market for pieces that show history, that come with authentic evidence of use, and that still retain attractive design features. A coin in honest circulated condition can tell a story that a perfect uncirculated coin cannot. It carries character, and in the right condition category it becomes desirable. That desirability translates into demand, and when demand meets limited supply, prices rise. Auction platforms play a key role in establishing these modern values. When one of these 1973 Kennedy half-dollars in circulated scratched fine condition sells for around $400, that sale becomes a benchmark. Collectors and dealers pay close attention to realized prices because they reflect what actual buyers are willing to pay in real-world transactions. Over time, as similar coins sell for similar amounts, the market begins to standardize around those values, and they become widely accepted as fair market prices. Another factor driving the value is the global nature of the coin collecting community. In the past, rare or semi-rare coins might have been traded locally or within national collecting circles. Today, online auction platforms allow collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and Australia to participate in the same sales. That broadens the pool of potential buyers and increases competition for scarce pieces. More competition often leads to higher realized prices, especially when several serious collectors recognize the value of a particular coin. It's important to emphasize that not every 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is worth hundreds of dollars. A heavily worn or severely damaged coin might still only be worth a modest premium over face value. What makes the example that sold for around $400 special is that despite its circulation wear and surface scratches, it retains appealing detail, balanced eye appeal, and an honest, untampered surface. Collectors place a premium on coins that show genuine history without major detracting damage. For anyone new to coin collecting, it's helpful to understand how grading and market values work. Terms like good, fine, very fine, extra fine, and uncirculated describe the level of wear and detail on a coin. In the fine category, the design is worn but still clear. The phrase, scratched, simply tells collectors that the coin has surface marks from real circulation, which many collectors actually prefer over cleaned or artificially altered coins. Coins that have not been cleaned or polished retain their original surfaces, which is something that serious collectors often look for. Collectors also enjoy connecting with the history behind a coin. When you hold a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar that has survived over 50 years of circulation, you can imagine the countless transactions it was part of, the people who used it, the places it traveled, and the stories it could tell if coins could talk. That emotional connection is part of what makes collecting so rewarding. It's not just about monetary value, it's about holding a piece of history in your hand. Next coin. The 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with a D mint mark in circulated scratched, dusty condition that is now commanding around $450 in today's auction market. You might be thinking, how can a coin that was once used for everyday purchases be worth hundreds of dollars today? The story behind this coin is rich with history, scarcity, real wear, and the passionate world of collectors who recognize value where others might not. Back in 1973, the United States Mint at Denver, indicated by the D Mint mark, struck millions of Kennedy half-dollars. These coins were part of daily life, spent on groceries, carried in wallets, handed out as change, and tucked away in coin jars. The Kennedy half-dollar itself was first issued in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination, and it quickly became one of the most iconic coins in American circulation. Over the years, many of these coins were heavily worn, lost, or melted down, but a small number survived, and some of those survivors are now highly prized by collectors. The example we're focusing on today is described as being in circulated, scratched, dusty condition. Let's break that down so you really understand what that means. Circulated means the coin was used in everyday transactions. It isn't fresh from the mint. Scratched tells us that there are surface marks and abrasions from years of handling. Dusty suggests it hasn't been cleaned or artificially polished, which is actually a good thing in the collecting world. Collectors value coins that retain original surfaces, even if they are worn and dusty, because cleaning can strip away metal and reduce the coin's value. So this coin wears its history honestly. The wear, the tiny marks, the dust and crevices, all are part of its real-life story. Now you might wonder, why would a circulated, scratched, dusty 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with a D mint mark be worth around $450 today? The answer is all about scarcity and collector interest. While millions of Kennedy half-dollars were minted that year, only a small fraction of those have survived in any condition that collectors find attractive. Most were heavily worn or lost over time, and even fewer exist with the right balance of detail and authentic where that makes them desirable. That limited supply meets increasing demand, and when demand outweighs supply, prices rise. Auction markets are where these high values are established and tracked. When one of these coins sells for $450, that sale becomes a benchmark, a real market price that collectors refer to in future sales. Serious collectors and dealers follow auction results closely. They compare prices, track trends, and use past sales to gauge what a similar coin might bring when it hits the block. Once a coin builds a pattern of strong sale prices, it becomes recognized as a valuable collectible within the numismatic community. Another key factor is the global reach of the coin collecting market today. In decades past, rare or special coins might have been bought and sold within local or national circles. Today, thanks to internet auctions and international marketplaces, collectors from the United States, Europe, Asia, and beyond can all participate in the same auctions. That creates competition and drives prices higher when multiple serious bidders recognize the value of a scarce coin. A coin like this 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with a D mint mark isn't just a piece of American history. It's a collectible with worldwide appeal. It's also important to understand that not every 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is worth $450. A heavily worn or severely damaged coin might still only be worth a modest premium over face value. What elevates the value in this case is the combination of a clear mint mark, the coin's authenticity, and the way it has survived decades of circulation with character intact. The design details, Especially the iconic profile of President Kennedy on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse remain discernible and appealing to the collector's eye. That honest preservation, even with wear and surface marks, makes it desirable. For those new to numismatics, it helps to understand how coins are evaluated and graded. Terms like good, fine, very fine, extra fine, and uncirculated describe the level of wear and detail on a coin. A coin in circulated fine condition shows visible wear but retains most of its features. Adding terms like scratched and dusty simply describe what that wear looks like on the surface. Experienced collectors know that a coin with genuine circulation, wear, and untouched surfaces can be more attractive than one that has been artificially cleaned or altered. Collectors also enjoy the human connection that coins provide. A coin that has survived more than 50 years carries with it a sense of history. You can almost imagine the hands that held it, the pockets it traveled in, the transactions it was part of. That emotional connection brings a deeper appreciation beyond monetary value. Collecting isn't just about the price tag, it's about the story, the journey, and the tangible link to the past. Next coin. The 2023 Kennedy half dollar with AP mint mark in circulated fine condition, a coin that is commanding around $500 in today's auction market. You might be surprised to hear that a coin from as recent as 2023, one that was originally worth 50 cents, can be selling for such a remarkable amount. But when you understand the story behind this coin, its rarity, collector demand, condition, and the dynamics of the modern auction market, it all begins to make sense. Back in 2023, the United States Mint at Philadelphia, indicated by the P Mint mark, struck Kennedy half dollars as part of their regular coin production. But unlike earlier decades when these coins were widely circulated, the modern Kennedy half dollar has become increasingly rare in everyday commerce. Over the past couple of decades, fewer and fewer Kennedy half dollars have actually made it into circulation, and most of the ones produced were placed into rolls, sets, or directly into collections. This shift has created a situation where examples that have genuinely circulated, used in real transactions and showing real wear, are surprisingly scarce. This particular 2023 Kennedy half dollar in circulated fine condition tells a story of everyday use. It's not mint fresh, it has seen real handling, real transactions, and real life. Fine in numismatic terms means that the coin shows visible signs of circulation. The details are worn, but the design elements are still clear and identifiable. You can still see the profile of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse, although the highest points show wear, and the surfaces may have light marks and signs of use. Yet these characteristics are precisely what make this coin appealing to many collectors. It's authentic, it's real, and it has a history that resonates. So how does a circulated 2023 Kennedy half dollar with AP mint mark come to be worth around $500 today? The answer comes down to the intersection of scarcity, condition, and collector interest. Millions of coins are struck every year, but not all of them survive in a condition that appeals to collectors. With modern coins, especially denominations that are no longer widely used in commerce, fewer examples make it into everyday circulation. And among those that do, many are worn heavily, lost, or melted down. A coin in fine condition, showing gentle wear while still retaining strong design elements, is much rarer than most people realize. Auction markets are where values like this are established. When one of these coins sells for around $500, that sale becomes a real market benchmark that collectors and dealers watch closely. Auction results are transparent, and past sales inform future pricing. When knowledgeable collectors see that a coin with specific attributes, in this case, a 2023 Kennedy half dollar in circulated fine condition, brought a high price at auction, they start to recognize it as a collectible worth seeking out. As more sales occur at high values, the coin's reputation and market price strengthen. Another factor driving this value is the global reach of the coin collecting community today. In years past, rare coins might have been traded locally or within a specific region. But now, online auctions and global marketplaces connect collectors from all over the world, the United States, Europe, Asia, Australia, and beyond. A collector in one country can bid against collectors across continents, increasing competition and driving prices higher, especially for coins with documented rarity and appeal. It's also important to understand that not every 2023 Kennedy half dollar will sell for $500. Many examples that show heavy wear, damage, or poor eye appeal might still be worth only a small premium over face value. What sets the high-value examples apart is the combination of genuine circulated condition, pleasing surfaces, and strong detail. Collectors pay for eye appeal, even on worn coins, because it makes the piece more attractive for display, for documentation in a collection, and for historical significance. Collectors appreciate the Kennedy half-dollar for both its design and its history. The coin was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy, and it has remained one of the most iconic pieces of American coinage. Holding a genuine circulated example from 2023 connects you to that long lineage of history, and that emotional connection is part of what makes collecting so rewarding. It's not just about the monetary value, it's about the story behind the coin, the journey it took through time, and the people who handled it before it entered a collection. For anyone new to collecting, it helps to understand how coins are evaluated and valued. Terms like fine, very fine, extra fine, and uncirculated describe how much where a coin shows. A coin in fine condition will have worn surfaces, but the major design elements remain clear and readable. Many collectors also choose to have their coins professionally graded by a reputable service, because a certified grade gives buyers confidence and often helps achieve higher prices at auction. Collectors also enjoy tracking auction results and market trends. Serious collectors study past sale prices, compare similar examples, and learn to recognize when a coin is undervalued or poised for appreciation. Finding a high-value coin like a circulated 2023 Kennedy half-dollar can be an exciting moment, especially when you understand the market forces and rarity behind it.